Hi, my name is Quentin Schwartz, and today we got my wife Mary Beth Schwartz and Suzanne, which is my ex-wife, and we'd like to share with you a wonderful story that started out in a disaster, and by putting God first, has developed into an absolutely phenomenal and ongoing, beautiful story. So we'd like to start with going back to, like a lot of people do, you're young, you fall in love, and you go get married. And you find yourself several years in, maybe having some difficulty communicating. One day we decide, you know what, there's this Bill Gothard seminar being offered at Roberts Wesleyan. Why don't we go? And through that, it was a week-long gathering, and one night we came home, and the topic of the day was trying to clean up things in your life that may have been something that was sin that you need to forgive and to move forward. And that's where our story begins.
When we returned home from the Bill Gothard seminar, I was very distraught and felt very strongly that I should tell Quentin that I had had an affair. And it was difficult for both of us. It brought forth a lot of different emotions. The unfortunate thing was in our marriage that I felt very much alone and continued to feel that way. And instead of taking these problems to the Lord for solution or looking for a solution inside of my marriage and through the church, I repeated some very bad choices throughout my life, and it ended up with a divorce and continuous bad choices for me year after year. A series of things happened in my life during 2009 that I feel like the Lord made little marks in my life of bringing me back to Him. And one in particular was my son Jacob, who came to me, just reached out to me and with scripture, and asked me if what I was doing would be according to God's ways. And I knew that the Lord was already working in my life. And it wasn't long after that that I was able to tell them that the Lord had gotten a hold of my heart, and I was returning home. I had left for California for 4 years and was absent from my children, and already it has made a remarkable difference.
So starting from that night, it was very difficult, and it tears through you like a knife, and you wonder, how in the world can this happen? And you try to protect it, but in experiencing a tremendous amount of anger, it makes you feel like all the decisions in life are being sped up. You feel like you're threatened. You feel like well, there's a tremendous amount of emotion that goes into it. But in the end, I found myself looking around saying, you know, where do you get help? We went to the counselors, you went to pastors, and you tried to talk through things. And ultimately, it took about another 3-4 months later when Suzanne finally decided that she was going to leave the marital home. I had to, as I'm sitting there with the boys, I thought, wow, what kind of impact is this going to have on them and their lives? And what is our responsibility? What is my responsibility in damage control? And seeking godly wisdom through a pastor, it was God gave you these children, and you're their protector, and you need to be there for them no matter what happens, and be stable for them, which was really difficult. Dealing with the anger is overwhelming. I had to come to the point where it was controlling me. It was starting to control the decisions I made, how I was reacting to Suzanne. And then I realized that, wait a second, this isn't a godly behavior. And it came down to before God, and I believe this is the basis of forgiveness. is a salvation message. I think when Christ looked upon mankind and knew that we were his bride, and the only way that we could ever be with him someday would be to have our sin forgiven. And while we were the bride and while we were yet in sin, he, the groom, responded appropriately and gave himself for us to take on the sin. And I looked at that and said, wow, how do you love like that? And how am I supposed to reach out and love this person who's who's hurt me? And forgiven also. My dad, who's deceased a long time ago, said, you know, this happened, by the way, 15 years ago. If you're going to forgive somebody and you're going to bury the axe, then bury the handle with it, and don't ever go back and get the handle. Wow. So that means that every time we're communicating or I get angry or whatever, I can't hold the situation over Suzanne's head. And that means that I've really forgiven her. That means I got to leave it in the background. It's got to be gone. And I got to tell you, only God can allow you to do that. You're right. You can't do it on your own. You got to have God, and let him take you by the hand and walk you through those issues. But as we fast forward, as the boys grew, my reaction and how I'm going to respond to her is critical to how the boys' point of view is going to be for their mom. And I got to tell you that what really worked for us is, number one, we're never going to bash Mom for any decisions that she made. We're not going to rip her down. We're not going to ridicule her, make nasty comments at all. Instead it was, guys, your mom is the most wonderful lady in the world. What does God say about this? And then really try to put in practice, which may seem very difficult to do, love, forgive, continue to forgive, and then when the anger pops up 3 days from now, surrender that, and then and call up and say, how you doing? And I used to send the boys a message, hey, tell your mom when you see her that I was thinking about her, and let her know that, and it used to drive her crazy, just absolutely crazy, because you might want to expand on that a little bit.
Over the years, the boys did tell me, Dad says hi, Dad still loves you. Used to absolutely drive me insane. I moved on in my life, and I got remarried and continued in the cycle of bad behaviors and bad choices. But Quentin never stopped caring about me. He never stopped treating our family like a family. And that's what's amazing about our story, is because the animosity really wasn't there. Quentin was always working with the boys to assure that they cared about me, loved me. And when I came to forgiveness, it was sometime in 2009 in December, where there was a service here on forgiveness, and I took Quentin aside, and I knew it was time for me to actually say the words. And I knew he'd forgiven me years and years ago, but knew it needed to be done. And that was just the crossing line. Since then, it's been over a year, and both Quentin and Mary have just been incredible at not just forgiving me, but restoring me. Just day by day, welcoming me into their home, welcoming me into activities, loving me, making sure that I'm being restored. And family, and the Lord has been teaching me His ways in all of this. And the Lord's forgiveness for me is beautiful. And the fact that He's in the business of restoration, and this family has just been an epitome of God's love for me.
I came into the picture about 6 years ago, and I met a wonderful man here at this church. And he had two young sons who were 10 and 11 years old, and we decided that we would get together with Suzanne and have dinner with, she had two other children, and then Joel and Jacob, and we would all get together so that we could meet, because we were going to have to parent these children together. And I think when you have a new relationship and a second family, you have to work together. You know, we were going to get married, and Jacob is 10 years old, and he said that his little sister Allison could be in the wedding. And in the beginning I said, Allison can't be in our wedding, to Quentin, not to Jacob, that it would not be right because it's his ex-wife's daughter from her other marriage. That would not be right. And a few weeks later, Allison came running up to me and said, I love you, Mary. And I said to Quentin, I said, we love Allison and she loves us, and why do we care what people think? And I think that was the start of me really beginning a friendship with Suzanne. And Quentin and I, working together, have developed a wonderful friendship with Suzanne, where she comes into the home, we eat together, we have meals, and we have visitation with all the children, and it's a wonderful thing.
It wasn't easy, but I hope that if you're experiencing or involved in a stressful situation, that you really seek help through your local pastor, through Joe, through somebody who's gone through this that can give you good counseling, because I believe that you can forgive and reap the benefit of God's plan for your life.